Can you hear me, Rebecca?
I can hear you, Lee, but your video is not on.
My video. What I got to do to make my video come? Oh, there it is down at the bottom. I see it. Now.
I can see you. I can hear you. How are you?
Good. Can you see my hat?
I can.
What does it say?
It says Israel Army.
I was there 2 years ago and I got an army hat.
Oh, nice.
I thought that was appropriate.
Did you do the whole country?
I went all over 10 days. I took a tour all over the country. I was everywhere. Nice. 4 days in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, all over.
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part. That's a good question. It was all so amazing. Jerusalem was pretty amazing. I thought I was going to see people pushing carts selling fruit down a dirt road, but it was very modern.
Yeah. Well, good. I spent a year. I lived in Israel for a year.
Oh, wow. Where did you live?
I lived in Beersheba. It's in the Negev, the south.
Okay. Is that near where the Gaza Strip is?
We had 45 seconds to get to our bomb shelters, so not quite so close. Like an hour outside of Tel Aviv.
To the south, though.
Yes, to the south.
Yeah, I went to the Golan Heights, and we saw where they had the tank wars and a couple of broken tanks, and we went all over. Stayed in a kibbutz. It was quite a 10 days. I had always wanted to go there, and I finally did it.
I'm glad you were able to go.
I told my two sons to tune in on this if they do it. One lives in Phoenix, and the other lives in LA. And
well,
the one when he went on the trip with me.
Oh, nice.
Let me shut off my
Okay. Hi, Laura.
Hi. I don't know how to put the picture up. I'm not very good at this.
There's a button if you're on the computer that says start video. It's at the bottom left.
Start video. I see Rebecca. Let me go a little further down. Start video. Okay.
There you are.
Okay. I guess so. Let the dog in.
Okay.
Do you live in Hanover or you?
Me, I live in Harrisburg.
Oh, in Harrisburg. Where do you go to shul or go to school?
I work for the Jewish Community Foundation.
Very good.
Yeah. Good.
All right. Barry, my husband's gonna come because my dog just ran off. I'll be right back.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
Okay, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm glad my microphone's working today. It seems like everything's working okay. Hey, Barry.
Hello. Hey, Joe. How are you?
Okay, how are you doing?
All right. I'm getting older, but that's, can't stop that.
It's better than the alternative.
Correct.
Oh, I don't know. Some days when I wake up, I'm not so sure.
As long as you wake up, that's the key.
Here's Joe. Do we need Siddurim?
I'm sorry?
Do we need Siddurim?
Hi, Joe.
No, everything's going to be online.
Oh, okay.
Hello. Hi. Hi, Laura.
How are you?
All right. How are you?
Very good.
10 minutes. Right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sadie.
Oh, yeah, that's Rebecca, how many people have signed up for this?
We had about 60 people register.
Wow.
So hopefully they'll be joining us shortly. It's still a couple minutes early.
Yeah, we're still early, so.
Yeah, you made it easy to get in, especially our son in North Carolina. We've tried to get in their services so we could be together, but they didn't make it easy. We couldn't get in.
Yeah,
I'm glad you were able to get into this
Yeah,
one.
so we.
Yeah, but I have us just,
There's a Benita coming in.
hi, from Central PA. We're
Hi.
actually gonna have ours off because we're gonna watch and eat cheesecake and blintzes and enjoy the program.
I'll be right over.
You don't need to see us eating.
Enjoy it.
Then I guess this isn't a fast day, right? Hey, Sadie girl, what do you want? Did she eat her whole?
Yeah, she ate it all. You still have all your dogs, Joe?
we have two now.
Too.
Yeah.
How's Maria?
I'm sorry?
How is Maria?
She's fine. She's doing pretty well. Yeah, we're all vaccinated now. We're just kind of starting to get out and rejoin the world.
Yeah, we are too. We finally got to see our kids in North Carolina, and next month we're gonna go to Texas for our granddaughter's graduation. So yeah, it's nice getting back. And we actually went to out to eat for the first time. You know, we've gotten carry out, but it was fine.
Yes, yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're gonna do that on Thursday, so. Yeah,
We decided to try Haas's buffet first, and they were very careful. You know, they made you made stuff and gloves, so that was good.
Hi,
I know.
how are everybody?
Hey, Noah.
Rebecca, I am going to put in the chat the Shavuot services that some of the synagogues have. So I'll do that now.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay. And Rebecca, can you email me after the program the final registration list?
Sure.
Thanks.
Rebecca, I'm going to assume that you have our video queued up and that you don't need me to do that.
Yes, I have the videos.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
He was gonna get on.
Can we see you?
No, I didn't.
There are things. Looky here.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, can you delete this chat thing, Rebecca? Are you able to do that?
I can see.
Are you able to delete it? Because I left something out.
I can't delete it, but
Okay, then I'll just add.
you can resend it. People won't get it if they're not in the room. So if they join, you know, in 5 minutes, they won't have this information.
Okay, I got that. For some reason, it didn't put everything in. Here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do a new chat with the ones that didn't go in. And that way I get all of Sunbury in and okay. Let's make sure. No. Oh yeah, that's right. This is right. Okay. Okay, so this is Sunbury and Williamsport. And then I have Chambersburg for the other one. Okay. And who's announcing? Let's see.
Rabbi.
Oh, Lawrence is announcing at the end. Okay. Rebecca, you have all the videos all lined up,
Mhm.
and you'll be, oh, you're recording it too. Great.
Yep.
Every parent's going to want a recording so they can have see it for their kids and then send it to the grandparents. Right after this, we have a piano recital of our grandchildren in Detroit. So I emailed my sister, brother, to my mom, that their great grandma can be on it also. So the nice thing about Zoom.
Yeah, it is. Nice.
Just want to make
Blank.
sure that everybody.
It's not showing us, but we can hear it.
You have to turn your video on.
Have to have the young people around to show us what to do.
I mean, you have your 3-year-olds or 2-year-olds using computers. It's amazing.
I'd like to think we're all young and we don't need those quote unquote younger people to help us.
Very true.
Do I have to sign in?
You're here. Jessica, you're here. If you want,
Right.
if you want, you can click on your video camera so we can see your face. But yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
I just want to make sure that. Let's
Hi,
see.
Jessica.
Hello
Rabbi-
there.
Rabbi Chopper is here.
Yes.
Is Rabbi Hurwitz on?
Oh, good.
Rabbi Hurwitz here?
I have to go to the bathroom, so it didn't stop.
Not yet. Let's see. Carolyn and Stan Lembeck, are you here? No. Joe's here. Chef Pierre's here. Lawrence is here.
Go to participants. Oh,
I better go get Chef.
and then.
Yeah, I don't know where. Carolyn, okay, I'm going to mute myself.
And then click the camera.
Now, I mean, if you want to sit, we can sit. It's right up there.
If he's on, you let me know.
Just afraid to unplug.
No, right. No.
We're not on till 6 anyways. Okay.
Move a second chair around and we'll do that.
No,
They're not on until,
6 o'clock.
yeah.
Where's Carl Pepper?
Right here.
Here's Lawrence.
Quite sure.
No, we should decide that.
Here we are.
I'm gonna make myself a cup of coffee.
they belonged to when they lived up in.
Hey,
That's pretty far away.
Amazing. Who's
Yeah, I'll need you for a minute.
Larry?
Let's put this on.
Pictures of Harry. You know, Bernie Kotkin said, "He's my best man." I said he was best man.
I think, Lee, I think we're ready to start.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Lee Roberts. I'm president of Beth Yehuda Synagogue in Lockhaven.
Phyllis, can you come here for a minute? Don't seem to have the video on.
Rebecca, can you mute everybody except Lee?
Lee, you're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Okay, I see. You can hear me now? Can you see me?
I can
I'll
hear
start
you and
over.
see you.
Okay, good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, everybody.
I'm Lee Roberts, president of Beth Yehuda Synagogue in Lockhaven. Welcome to the Third Central Pennsylvania Small Congregations Initiative. The first program celebrated the holiday of Tu B'Av, honoring the sanctity of human beings. The second program celebrated Tu B'Shov, honoring the sanctity of the environment. Today's program is Shavuot, honoring the sanctity of the Torah, the lifeblood of Judaism, by which we are known as the people of the book. Shavuot also commemorates the unity of the Jewish nation upon receiving the Ten Commandments. Given the tragic events unfolding in Israel, we pray for unity and peace. 10 congregations are participating today, and fortunately, several presentations feature children from some of the synagogues. The program will last 1 hour, and at its conclusion, the Zoom will remain open in case you want to spend a few minutes socializing. You will notice that some of the presentations are recorded, others are live. I will announce the synagogues when it is their turn to present. So without further ado, I'm pleased to call on Rabbi Carl Choper of Temple Beth Shalom in Mechanicsburg to open the program with an overview of the holiday of Shavuot. Is Carl there? Is he on yet? Carl?
He's
Maybe
on,
not.
but his
You gotta unmute him. Unmute
How's that?
yourself.
How's that? Unmute? Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
That's okay. You got it. Whatever you want. Whatever you like.
Just a little bit of to gain our attention. Torah, 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 Torah. Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah. Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah. Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah. Torah tziva lanu Moshe. As we heard, Shavuot, in part, is about the receiving of the Torah, the giving of the Torah. The Siddur calls it Zman Matan Toratenu, the time of the giving of the Torah. I'm just going to put this down for a moment. And this. It has been 50 days now, 50 days, a week of weeks, 49 days, and then the next day since Passover. And we've now reached Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks, a week of weeks. It's one of the 3 pilgrimage festivals to Jerusalem. There's Passover, Sukkot, and Shavuot, each of which is also a harvest festival. So I want to turn to that first, the pilgrimage and the harvest, and read some verses from Deuteronomy chapter 26, which is a fully described ritual, one of the few fully described rituals in the Torah, and it's specifically for Shavuot, although rabbinic tradition has taken some of the words and used them in the Passover Haggadah. It's another story. Here are the words. And it shall be, when you come into the land that the Lord your God is about to give you to hold, and you take hold of it and dwell in it, you shall take from the first yield of all the fruit of the soil that you will bring from your land, which the Lord your God is about to give you. And you shall put it in a basket and go to the place that the Lord your God chooses to make God's name dwell there. And you shall come to the priest who will be in those days, and you shall say to him, saying, I have told today to the Lord your God that I have come unto the land which the Lord swore to our ancestors to give us. And the priest shall take the basket from your hand and lay it down before the altar of the Lord your God. And you shall speak out and say before the Lord your God, saying, my father was an Aramean about to perish, and he went down to Egypt, and he sojourned there with a few people, and he became there a great and mighty and multitudinous nation. And the Egyptians did evil to us and abused us and set upon us hard labor. And we cried out to the Lord God of our ancestors, and the Lord heard our voice and saw our abuse and our trouble and our oppression. And the Lord brought us out from Egypt with a strong hand and with an outstretched arm and with great terror and with signs and with portents. And God brought us to this place and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And now, look, I have brought the first yield of the fruit of the soil that you gave me, Adonai. And you shall lay it down before the Lord your God, and you shall bow before the Lord your God, and you shall rejoice in all the bounty that the Lord your God has given you and your household, you and the Levite and the sojourner who is in your midst. The Torah gives detail, and the Mishnah gives even more detail as to how this joyous festival was played out in Parshat, in Tractate Bikurim. And as in the days of the temple in Jerusalem, when people would come, one way to give a sense of that ceremony based on the Mishnah in Tractate Bikurim is to share with you a ceremony, a short ceremony, in the 1948 Reconstructionist prayer book, which actually spoke of a reenactment of this Bikurim festival, of this Bikurim procession as part of a confirmation ceremony. And it reads, in ancient days, at the time of the celebration of Chag HaBikurim, the festival of the first offerings, festival of the first fruits, the farmers of the land of Israel sent delegations to the temple in Jerusalem to take the first fruits of their produce to the sanctuary. On the day of their departure, early in the morning, the pilgrims said to one another, saying, arise and let us go to Zion unto the Lord our God. They that were near to Jerusalem brought fresh figs and grapes, and they that were far brought dried figs and raisins. The flute was played before them until they drew close to Jerusalem. And all the craftsmen in Jerusalem used to rise before them and greet them, saying, people of such and such a place, you are welcome. And the flute was played before them until they reached the Temple Mount. Even Agrippa, the king, would take his basket on his shoulder and enter in as far as the temple court, while the Levites sang, Arumimcha Adonai kidilitani velo samachti oivai li. I will exalt you, O Lord, for you have raised me up and not made my enemies to triumph over me. And then they would go on and recite the words which I have which they took from Deuteronomy. This set of readings was brought together to be part of a confirmation ceremony, since confirmation is often held on Shavuot these days and for the past century and more, because by at least 2,000 years ago, Shavuot had also become associated with the giving of the Torah and all the events and narratives taking place at Mount Sinai, the giving and receiving of the Torah, entering into the covenant. And that can be traced in particular to another part of the Torah, even though the Torah never says that Sinai happened on Shavuot. Nonetheless, in Exodus chapter 19, we read, on the third new moon of the Israelites going out of Egypt, on this very day did they come to the wilderness of Sinai, and they journeyed onward from Rephidim, and they came to the wilderness of Sinai, and Israel camped there over against the mountain, Mount Sinai. So we see that it's at this time, nonetheless, it's this time of the year that in our reenactment, we reach Sinai, this amount of time after coming out of Egypt. And it continues saying, and now if you will truly shema, hear, hearken my voice and keep my covenant, you will become for me a treasure among all the peoples, for mine is all the earth. And as for you, you will become for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. A kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Priests who represent a sense of purpose in their very being. A holy nation who as a community stands for something bigger than ourselves. Shavuot is a time when we are reminded of our sense of purpose, our mission connected to our very existence as a people. We are created as a people coming out of Egypt at Passover, and then we go right to the mountain and affirm a purpose. And that's who we are, a people with a purpose. We're Passover with Shavuot. We are a people standing at Sinai, and the tradition is we all were there. We're just seeing each other again. Welcome, everybody. The moment at Sinai is sometimes compared to a wedding between us, between the people of Israel and God. And every Jewish wedding has a ketubah, and our ketubah is the Torah. In the synagogue, we read Exodus 19 and 20, among other things. That's the section I just read, approaching Sinai, and the 10 commandments. It's as if we're hearing these for the first time again. We're reenacting hearing them. By the way, in Hebrew, it's Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 utterances, the 10 words. It's not only commandments, that's a whole other thing. There's 613 commandments in the Torah, as the rabbis counted, and there's more than 10 commandments in the 10 commandments. And not all of the 10 commandments are commandments. So it's Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 things that were said. But we're hearing them again. We're at the mountain listening to these words again. We also read the book of Ruth, because Ruth in there makes in that book makes this declaration: where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God shall be my God. Ruth is saying that, and on Shavuot, we are all saying that. It's Zman Matan Toratenu, it's the time of the giving of the Torah, but we're receiving the Torah, just like Ruth did. This also, we read Ruth because it takes place at the time of the harvest, like Shavuot. The sanctuary is traditionally decorated with greenery. In Yiddish, it's the Grina Yantif. That's why I have this green thing here, because the sanctuary is decorated with greenery. And all night is Torah study. There's a tradition of studying Torah all night. And I'm coming to a conclusion. If anyone's taking time, I'm coming to a conclusion. It is said that on the night of Shavuot, the heavens are most receptive to prayer. Because if on the night of Shavuot, the heavens cracked open so that Torah could come down, then certainly as the heavens have cracked open and prayer can go up. So we study Torah all night. What better way to honor Torah? We pray and study into the night. We eat dairy. For some reason, we eat dairy. For some reason, there's this midrash that all of a sudden the Jewish people found out that none of their pots were kosher. You know, it's like you tell me why we eat dairy. It's a tradition. But we study Torah into the night. We pray into the night, and it's as if we're encountering Sinai again, not in the way that Moses and the people of Israel experienced it with all the lightning and the thunder and the pyrotechnics and the clouds of fire, but in the way Elijah encountered it, which it's interesting to me that we don't read this section of Elijah on Shavuot. But in the book of Kings, Elijah flees into the desert, just like the people of Israel fled into the desert. And it says he went to the mountain of God, which the text says is Horeb, which the Torah says is another name for Sinai. So he goes to this mountain and he hides in a rock, which Midrash says is the same rock Moses had hid in. And he sees this great wind, but God was not in the wind. And he experiences this great earthquake, but God was not in the earthquake. And he experiences this great fire, but God was not in the fire. And then he hears this kol demama daka, this still small voice, this whisper, maybe the voice of conscience. It's his inner voice. And that's where he encountered God in Torah. And as we study and pray into the night on Shavuot, when the heavens are most receptive to prayer, at a time when we're contemplating what is our purpose, what is our mission, what is our commitment, what is our Torah, and we're reaffirming that commitment, we listen for that kol demama daka, that still small voice, so that we as a community and as individuals can move forward together as a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Chag Sameach, good Yom Tov.
Thank you, Rabbi. The next is the children's presentation on the Torah from Congregation Beth Tikva in Carlisle. Can you put them on, Rebecca? They have to unmute themselves. There's no voice. Now it's working. It's working. Can't hear it.
The Torah is a big book or scroll that holds all the Hebrew holiday stories, like the story of Hanukkah and the story of Yom Kippur and all that stuff. And I think it's in Hebrew. I think it's when all the Hebrew commandments and Hebrew rules in the Torah. It's specifically written on parchment paper. At our naming ceremony, Maddie was lying on a Torah scroll, and it was open, and it was really cool. The 10 Commandments are in the Torah. I think the Pharaoh was treated them poorly. They were coming out of Egypt because Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, had just set them free from being slaves to the Egyptians. They were coming from Egypt and going to Israel, Moses and his brother kept trying to free and then when they finally did, they walked and walked until finally they got to this mountain, Mount Sinai, and received the 10 Commandments and walked some more until they got to Israel. I mean, a lot more with Moses leading them. They walked in the desert for 40 years. While Moses is standing on the very top of the mountain, and there are a bunch of clouds around him. And this is all the rock part of the mountain, and like in books, the peak of the mountain is covered in snow. And this is the sun. He says not to have any other gods or worship anything. Shabbat. Be good to your mother and father. You're not allowed to murder people. I think we don't take them or ask if we can borrow it and then never return it. You should not steal it. So you are not allowed to look at your neighbor bringing home a present from their friend and say, "Hey, my neighbor is stealing," even though you know they weren't. You're not allowed to say that. Oh no!
The next presentation is the book of Ruth from Rabbi Herbert Hurwitz, Ohav Shalom Congregation in Williamsport.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Erev Shavuot, right before the onset of the holiday of Shavuot, which begins tonight at about 8 o'clock. And one of my colleagues spoke mostly about all of the ramifications that are found in the Torah itself. But Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory, Zachrona L'Bracha, had an essay, and in the essay he said, evolution or revolution, how it applies to Judaism. And I believe that the book of Ruth has a lot to do with it, because Ruth is part of 5 different, and everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, 5 different books called the Chamesh Megillot, or the 5 books or scrolls that are read at different times of the year. And Megillat Ruth is read this week on the 2nd day of the holiday of Shavuot, while Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, was read during Passover, and the book of Ecclesiastes is read, or Kohelet, during the time of Sukkot. The others are read during fast days. So the book of Ruth has something special to it. First of all, it's the shortest of all of them. It has only 4 chapters. And it talks about family. It talks about famine. It talks about all different things that are related to a family relationship. But the most important thing it talks about has to do with destiny. And we all know that everybody looks into their lineage by looking into destiny. We all try to find out where we came from, what our background is, what our ancestors did. I can trace mine back to the 1600s, to Rabbi Isaiah Hurwitz, the famous Shalach HaKadosh, the famous mystic and Kabbalist who wrote the book of Shnei Luchot HaBrit, the 2 tablets of the law. But the book of Ruth has within it, especially the 4th chapter, describes for us the lineage that she is related to. And verse 12 there says, Vahi Bitcha Gebeit Peretz, that they came from the house of Peretz, Asher Yolda Tamar, from the person name was Tamar. If you remember back to the book of Genesis, Yehuda and Tamar caught up because Tamar lost her husband and there was no one to redeem her, and therefore Yehuda was the one who did it. Min Hazara, from the offspring, came the family of Peretz or Paretz. And afterwards it says, V'yikach Boaz et Ruth, and therefore Boaz took Ruth. How is Boaz related to Paretz? Related directly in a lineage that went all the way back in time. And Bateled Ben, and Ruth and Boaz gave birth to a son. Batilo li Isha v'yitain lo harayon. She became pregnant from Boaz. Batikach nami et hayeled, when the child was born. And what did he do? Batashisehu. And she took the child, Nami, the mother-in-law of Ruth, took the child to her own bosom, and Batahilo li imanot. And she became actually the foster mother of Boaz's son. And Boaz's son was based upon 7 generations. V'ele toldot Paretz. This is the generations or the story of Paretz, the son of both Tamar and Yehuda. And one of there are 7 sons, and the last 4 of those generations was Salma, and Salma's generation gave birth to Boaz, who was Ruth's husband, and Boaz gave birth to others, to Ben Yishai, and to Oved, and then to Ben Yishai, and guess who Ben Yishai was the father of? We recited every single Shabbat morning, David Ben Yishai. David is the son of Ben Yishai. And the lineage therefore goes back to the name of the Jewish people called Yehuda. We are Jews because of Yehuda, and the name of the Jewish people and the one chosen over Joseph, the favorite sons of Jacob, favorite son, was not the one to be the leader. It was Yehuda to be the leader. So how does Ruth fit into this? What relationship does she have also to what is known as the time of the Messiah? So the story is, Ruth and Orpah were 2 Moabite women whose lineage went back to Lot, the nephew of Abraham. And both of these people, Ruth and Orpah, married the 2 sons of Elimelech and Naomi. Those 2 sons, when the famine took place, the whole family left and went to Moab, and the 2 sons died. Both Ruth and Orpah were now widowed. And Naomi said to them, after 10 years of marriage to those 2 sons, you're now widows, leave, go back to your people. I'm going to return to Bethlehem, to Bethlehem. Go back. Orpah says, no, I don't want to go back. I want to be with you. Naomi convinces her to stay with her people. But before she leaves, she gives a kiss to Naomi. And the kiss in Hebrew is called neshika or neshek. Now, neshek is a kiss that she gave to her mother-in-law, and a kiss is related to a neshek, which means actually weaponizing things. So what can a kiss really mean? A kiss can be one of 2 things. It can be fleeting, it can be that, and it also can be one that is loving. Although maybe Orpah was sincere at that moment, because it is fleeting, her descendants were Goliath, who fought with David in that famous battle between the two. Ruth, on the other hand, as the rabbi, my colleague said, your people are my people. I will be with you. Your God is my God. But if we take a look at the name Ruth, there are 3 letters to it. Resh, Vav, Taf. 3 letters. And in Judaism, we have different kinds of mnemonics. We have mnemonics of letters, and letters stand for numbers as well. And if you take those 3 letters together and you put them together, you wind up with the number 606. My previous colleague said, who spoke before, that there were 613 commandments, which meant that Ruth already kept the first 7 of those commandments, the 7 commandments of Noah. And now her name is actually connected to the 7 commandments of Noah, and she serves as a paradigm for a Gioris Tzedek, a truly righteous convert, because she accepted what we call in rabbinic parlance hora'ah. She accepted all of the rules and instructions that the divinity demands. She accepted what is called, what we're going to do tonight, Kabbalat Torah, the acceptance of all of the commandments of the Torah, which in traditional Judaism is one of the major components for conversion to Judaism. And her action was a radical departure of its existing society in order to be worthy of eternity. Because when you say the words, Naaseh v'nishma, we will do and then we will try to understand, you're taking total and complete acceptance of what Judaism is about. The declaration of eternity is forever a life force that Ruth wholly embraced. Ruth didn't only kiss Naomi, she did something else. She embraced her. A kiss can be fleeting, it can be sincere or insincere. But when you grasp and grab a hold of somebody and you embrace them and you lock into a next person, it truly is a sincere connection that you will have. And the embrace will be delivered to the hands of Mashiach, of the Messiah. The in of David, the ancestry and the descendancy of David was the son of one who embraced everything, because in the adoration, the Kedusha that we recite on Shabbat morning, the very last words in the Shacharit Kedusha, we say, Al Yedei David Mashiach Tzedkecha, the one who anoints us by your righteous decree. Just as the rebirth of Israel has taken place during our lifetime, we are fortunate, after almost 2,000 years, to live with the rebirth of Israel and the strength and the perseverance of the Jewish people in Israel in the face of the worst kind of attacks, terrorist attacks, is undiminished. That perseverance continues because it is called Askalta de Geula, the beginning of the redemption. And from the beginning of the redemption, the ancestry of David, Amelech, King David, is the spirit that leads us what will be the ultimate redemption. The ultimate redemption will be from Mashiach Tzidkecha, the righteous decree that brings on for all of us what will be called the Messianic era. All of that stems directly from the Gioris Tzedek, the righteous convert known as Ruth, who represents all of us on the holiday of Shavuot. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Rabbi. Next is Hag Bekurim, which means first fruits, from Carolyn and Stan Lembeck Congregation Gudath Akim in Huntington, Pennsylvania. You got to unmute them. We're not getting any sound. You got to unmute yourself.
Go ahead, Mom.
There, now we're hearing something.
Go ahead, talk. The first fruits, the Bikurim. Can I be heard now?
Yes, we hear
Oh,
you.
great. Okay. These are the grains and the fruits that are native to Israel and were brought as an offering to the temple. Wheat, figs, grapes, barley, olives, pomegranates, and dates. When these plants first started to grow, the farmer would wrap them with a natural twine. And when they finally blossomed and were ready to be harvested, he would cut them. They would be put in special baskets, which were often then decorated with gold and silver. And that's how they would be brought to the temple, to the priests. There would usually be a procession to do that, and the people would follow. These fruits and grains symbolize the blessings that were given to the Israelites when they came to the land of Israel. It was their food. I like to look at the crest of the state of Pennsylvania, which shows a sheaf of wheat, and it looks exactly like what was offered in the basket. May we have the second slide, please? Wheat is in the center, and that's the symbol that we see on the shield of Pennsylvania. The others are pictured as they are growing. You can picture them harvested and placed in the baskets. I like to think of this holiday in the same way we think of Sukkot. That is a celebration of the plentiful harvest that we all enjoy and how we share it. May we have the last slide, please? One way all of us in our congregation share the blessings of the harvest is through the food bank. In central Pennsylvania, these are administered by the food bank of central Pennsylvania, centered in Williamsport and in Harrisburg. In our congregation, because one of our members was a participant in the community action group in Huntington, arrangements were made for 2 members of our congregation every week to collect the bread and pastries that Panera was giving away because they were no longer fresh to the food bank administered in Huntington, the food bank of Southern Huntington County. Our people bring that harvest to the top of the mountain in Huntington County, and it is picked up by members of the food bank and distributed that day. So I like to see the application of our tradition in the everyday life of our congregation.
Thank you, Carolyn and Stan. The next presenter will be children's presentation on the Book of Youth from Congregation Sons of Israel in Chambersburg. I think they're muted.
Scene 1. There once lived a family in Bethlehem, Naomi and her husband, Elimelech, and their 2 sons, Chilion and Mahon. They were happy there until a famine hit. With no food, the family was forced to leave.
We have to move. We have to gather up all our things and go. Let's go to Moab.
So the family set out for Moab on foot. They had to cross the Jordan River. Scene 2.
We made it. Look at all the crops. We will have food to eat here. Great, I'm hungry.
The family lived happily for several years. The sons met women from Moab and soon married.
I will take care of you. Yeah, I found a husband. I will marry his brother, Chillin.
But then tragedy struck. First, Naomi's husband died, followed by both her sons, leaving Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah widows.
I'm going back to Bethlehem. I'm going back to Bethlehem. My son Pup died. I'm coming with you.
Nobody's sharing the screen.
Wait.
Rebecca, we just see you.
Oh no.
Oh, we've been texting you.
Okay.
That's the last one.
Stop share. Start share. Why is it the same?
It's not moving on to the next one.
I'm sorry. Let me try one more time.
That's the,
Scene 1.
Can you see?
There
now it
was
is, yes.
a family in
I'm
Bethlehem,
sorry.
Naomi and her husband, Amalek, and their two sons, Chilion and Mahon. They were happy there until a famine hit. With no food, the family was forced to leave.
We have to move. We have to gather up all our things and go. Let's go to Moab.
So the family set out for Moab on foot. They had to cross the Jordan River. Scene 2.
We made it. Look at all the crops. We will have food to eat here. Great, I'm hungry.
The family lived happily for several years. The sons met women from Moab and soon married.
I will take care of you. Yeah, I found a husband. I will marry his brother, Chillin.
But then tragedy struck. First, Naomi's husband died, followed by both her sons, leaving Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah widows.
I'm going back to Bethlehem. I'm going back to Bethlehem. My son Pup died. I'm coming with you. I want to stay here where my family is. Where you go, I go. Where you stay, I stay. Your people are mine, and your God is mine too. Peace.
Scene 3. The journey back to Bethlehem was long and hard. Naomi and Ruth picked barley seeds off the ground and boiled them for food.
Tomorrow we will reach Bethlehem. We are still poor. How will we live? We can stay at my house if it is still standing.
Scene 4. Finally, they reached Bethlehem and find a farm with many workers. They stop to rest and glean the seeds that they find on the ground. Some of the farmers make fun of them. The owner of the farm, Boaz, sees the woman.
That is used to live here. Ruth is her granddaughter. I mean, daughter-in-law. She stayed with Naomi after their husbands died. That's right. She left Boaz to stay with Naomi because she didn't want Naomi to be alone. Those men are being nice to me. They insult his names and things. It's rude. He left her because she is poor. He stayed with her mother-in-law. Thank you, Boaz. You are very kind.
Boaz helped Naomi and Ruth rebuild their house. He fell in love with Ruth.
Will you marry me? Yes, I will be your wife.
Scene 5. Boaz and Ruth were married under the chuppah. All the farmers came to the wedding. They were very happy. Naomi was happy for Ruth.
Yay! I take you to be my wife. I take you, Boaz, to be my husband.
Scene 6. The following year, Ruth had a baby boy. They named him Obed.
I finally have a grandchild. We are blessed.
Many years later, Obed had a grandson named David, who became the king of Israel. Now I'd like to introduce our characters. Naomi was played by Megan Hudson. Orpah by Ellie Hudson. Boaz by David Hudson. Milan by David Hudson. Farmer 1 by Ellie Hudson. Ruth by Claudia Dubell. Say hi. Yours isn't showing up on this.
Hi.
There we go. And Elimelech by Jonah Dubell.
Hello.
And Farmer 2 by Jonah Dubell.
Hello.
Very nice. Thank you, Sons of Israel. Next is a Shavuot delicacy brought to you by Chef Pierre, food recipe, Beth Israel Congregation of Bloomsburg.
Shalom, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Jewish Holiday Cooking with me, Chef Pierre Moshe Rabinowitz. Once again, we are coming from beautiful downtown Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, from the wonderful Synagogue, Temple Beth Israel. Thank you so much, everybody, for hosting the show again today. Well, today we are going to do some wonderful cooking to celebrate the holiday of Shavuot, which is a holiday commemorating the revelation of the Torah being received on Mount Sinai, and also it is a biblical celebration of the harvest of the grain. So on Shavuot, as many of you know, we have the pleasure of eating foods made of dairy. Now, why? The question is, why do we eat fruits? Well, there are many different reasons, but the one that I'm going to share with you today is the fact that in the Bible, the beautiful country of Israel is known as the land of milk and honey. And honey is eaten actually at many, many Jewish holidays. Some people eat it at this holiday today, but it's mostly about the dairy. So unfortunately, for those of you who may have some dairy allergies or are lactose intolerant, this holiday may make you suffer just a little bit. But as my dear friend and guest star today, Shavuot Service says, what the heck? Sometimes you just got to eat a little bit of dairy and celebrate the beautiful Jewish holiday of Shavuot. So, the recipe that we are going to be making today is that of the blintz. Blintz, you say? That's kind of a funny word, isn't it? Well, what is a blintz? Well, there's a very lively conversation about what a blintz is on the line, or they call it online, I call it on the line. Anyway, so what is a blintz? Well, it's a little bit similar to the French crepe or the Russian blin or a blini. It's basically a very, very thin pancake made of flour and milk and eggs and some salt and vanilla. And you're going to fry it up in a pan. The directions following this show are super good. They're really excellent. You should have no difficulty in making the blintz as long as you have a nice hot pot. And as they say, it's very poetic, you wait for the water to dance across the hot pan. I love that image of water dancing across a hot pan. And then when you pour the batter very quickly, kind of in a circle like that, within a few minutes, you have an absolutely beautiful cake that will practically jump off the pan. Or blintz, I should say, sorry. Okay, so right now I have the immense pleasure of introducing my dear friend Shavuot Service of Bloomsburg. Hello, Shay. Hello, you're looking beautiful today. Thank you so much. Shay is going to demonstrate how to actually put the blintz together. Okay, take it away, Shay.
Now, here we go.
Okay.
This is the blintz.
I see.
Beginning of
The beginning, very good, very nice, nice color.
We take, I just want to show you how the.
Oh yes, please show our audience how you're doing it.
And now we take a dollop of the mixture,
the filling,
which is the milk.
Yes,
part of our recipe.
It is made of cottage cheese and cream cheese, sugar, and vanilla.
Now, we take one corner of the blintz.
Okay.
And fold it over.
Nice.
Then we take another corner of the blintz and fold it over.
All right.
And next, we take the opposite ends.
Okay.
And fold them over.
Oh, that doesn't look like a little package.
It is a nice little package. And you can turn upside down.
Okay.
And next we take a dollop of our sour cream.
Nice. Uh-huh.
And
more dairy. Oh boy, what is stomachache coming?
And place it gently on the blintz.
Okay. Wonderful, looks delicious.
There we are. And finally, the final step.
Oh, another step.
Is to take our cherry mixture, organic, I'll have you know.
Oh, how nice.
And place it gently, very gently.
Oh, that looks delicious.
On our,
oh, what happened?
The dollop fell over, but
it's okay. You know,
it's okay. place it back on the side.
Wonderful,
And
wonderful.
here we have our splints all ready to.
Oh, Shay, you did a beautiful job.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about the messy.
Oh, you know, that is just a part of cooking, isn't it?
It is. And the next one will be better.
That's right. You know, the more you make these, the better they get. And it becomes like second nature, doesn't it?
Of course.
Of course it is.
Of course.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And everyone, make those blintzes. Experiment with different recipes, different fillings. You can make them sweet. You can make them savory. Just please yourself and have a wonderful Shavuot. Thank you.
Shavuot, everybody.
Yes, thank you, everybody. And shalom. Chag Sameach. Have a happy, happy holiday. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Chef Pierre. It looked like the second reincarnation of Groucho Marx. The next presenter will be children presentation on the book of Ruth from Congregation Beth in Sunbury.
Book of Ruth, chapter 1.
In the days when the judges judged,
In the days when the judges judged, there was a famine in the land.
there was a famine in the land, and a man of Bethlehem in Judah went to reside in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. The man's name was Elimelech, and his wife Naomi, and the name of his 2 sons Machlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem in Judah. They came into Moab and remained there. Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons.
They came into Moab and remained there. Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died. She was left with her 2 sons. They married Moabite women. One was Orpah and the other Ruth, and they lived there about 10 years. Then these 2, Machlon and Chilion, died, and the woman was left without her son and her husband.
She arose with her daughters-in-law to leave Moab, for she had heard in Moab how Adonai had remembered his people and had given them bread.
ותקומי בכלותיה, ותשיבקה אדוני את עמו, ותיתן להם לחם.
So she went forth from where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her, and they went to return to the land of Judah. And Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, Go, return each of you to her mother's house. Adonai deal kindly with you, as you have dealt with the dead and with me. Adonai grant that you may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept.
יעש אדוני עמכם חסד כאשר עשיתם עם המתים ועימתי.
And they said to her, No, we will return with you to your people. And Naomi said, Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Do you think I can have more sons, that they may be your husbands? Turn back, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say, I have hope, should I even have a husband tonight and then have sons? Would you wait for them till they were grown? Would you shut yourselves off for them and have no husbands?
No, my daughters, I am saddened for you, but the hand of Adonai has gone against me. And they lifted their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her.
ותישאנה כולן,
He said, Your sister-in-law is gone back to her people and to her God. Go, follow your sister-in-law.
ותאמר, הנה שבה יבימתך אל עמה ואל אלוהיך.
Ruth said, Do not urge me to leave you, to turn back from following you.
ותאמר רות, אל תבכי בי לעוזבך לשוב מאחרייך.
Ruth said, Do not urge me to leave you, to turn back from following you. Wherever you go, I will go. And where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God.
ki el asher telehi elech ufa asher talini alin.
Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. The Lord will judge against me, but if anything but death parts me from you.
Asher tamuti amut v'sham ekaver.
And she saw that she was determined to go with her. She stopped arguing with her.
So they two went until they came to Bethlehem. And when they entered the city, there was excitement over them, and the woman said, "Is this Naomi?"
Vatehom kol ha'ir alehen vatomarna hazot Naomi.
And she said to them, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and Adonai has brought me back home empty. How can you call me Naomi, seeing Adonai has testified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me?"
So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, with her. They came to Bethlehem in the beginning of barley harvest.
Thank you, children of Bethel. Next presentation will be the Omer by Joe Levenstein of Adams County Jewish Community in Gettysburg.
Good evening, everybody. First, I want to thank Rabbi Chopra for the wonderful introduction that he gave today. We didn't coordinate it at all, but he really fits in with a lot of what I'm going to say here. As we all know, on the second day of Passover, we begin counting the Omer. The term Omer means sheaf and refers to the harvest offering brought to the temple on the second day of Passover. We count the Omer for a total of 7 weeks, and when we reach Shavuot. In the Torah, Shavuot was marked by another temple offering, this time at the height of the harvest season. Now, also as Rabbi Chopra taught, Shavuot became associated with the giving of the Torah. And so the counting of the Omer became associated with a trek from the Sea of Reeds, where we survived Pharaoh's last attempt at stopping the Exodus, to Mount Sinai, where we entered into the Mosaic covenant and accepted the responsibility of living under God's law. At the Seder table, when we read and sing Dayenu, we make a direct link to Shavuot and the giving of the Torah. So Passover is not just a celebration of the Exodus, it's also a celebration of the beginning of what we today call Judaism. The process of counting the Omer is simple, and it's not at all elaborate. We say the bracha using the formula for the performance of all mitzvot, and this time ending in al sifirat ha-omer, which means you have commanded us to count the Omer. Then we actively count the Omer by saying, for example, in Hebrew or in English, today is 10 days, which is 1 week and 3 days of the Omer. That's it. The simplicity of this formula reflects the simplicity of the trek to Sinai. To quote the Willie Dixon song, Walking the Blues, you just put one foot in front of the other and keep on walking. That's what we did during this period. We didn't know where we were going or why, but we came to Mount Sinai, an incredible place where God shared with us a vision of who we could be and what we could make of our world. Counting the Omer reminds us that the journey to Sinai was not just a journey from one place to another, but also a journey from one time to another. In the world that God created for us, time only goes forward. We can't go backwards. And because we cannot go backwards in time, we cannot undo our mistakes. This can be a curse, but it's also a blessing because it makes our choices and our lives matter. Similarly, at this point in the Exodus, we were unable to physically go back to Egypt. We tried to go back mentally by creating a golden calf, but that wasn't possible either. So we had to go forward, and we didn't know what we were going forward to. If we allow it, time can be transformative, moving us forward into the future. We have a choice between learning the lessons of the past or remaining mired in the past. In Exodus, the days and the weeks of the journey to Sinai were the first steps in our transformation from refugees to being a people with a purpose. Now, in the last year and a half, we've experienced a similar journey in time. When we began the COVID-19 lockdown, we had no idea where it would take us. We had to wait until we learned enough about the virus, and then we had to wait until we could develop a vaccine. Then when the vaccine became available, we all counted the days until we could get it. Then we counted the days to our second vaccine. And then we counted our days to full immunity. And now we count again, waiting until the community is protected enough to lift the remaining restrictions. And with the explosion of violence in Israel, we again do not know where we're going. We are traveling ahead in time to a new Sinai where the future is unknown. It is my hope and my prayer that at this moment, where life is changing so much, we will do what we did in Exodus. We have experienced massive upheaval, and it is time now to dedicate ourselves to achieving a vision of life that is healthy, happy, productive, and supportive of all humanity. Chag Sameach.
That was very well put, Joe. We really appreciate that, and thank you. Next presenter is children's presentation on the Torah congregation Beth Ha-Shalom in Williamsport.
Hello, everyone. I am George Altshuler, and I'm the student rabbi for Beth Ha-Shalom in Williamsport. Our Hebrew school has been meeting this whole year, despite the pandemic. We've been meeting over Zoom, and we have been beginning every one of our Hebrew school sessions with Havdalah. It's been really nice. We all have candles in our individual homes and the grape juice and the spices, and it's a really nice way to sort of create community and get our Hebrew school off to a good start. So for our Shavuot project, each of the students created an art project about the blessing that they've been leading, the Havdalah blessing that they've been leading. And we'd like to present our projects to you today. So first, Ari made a project about the blessing over grape juice.
Well, I made this.
Oh, beautiful.
Crayon.
Wow, so tell me about what's in it.
Well, right here, it's a grape tree. There's a grape juice in the cup.
Wow, that's great. So is the man...
The little Jewish stars you can see on the side. And then up here is the sun. And then that's all the blue sky. And then that's me holding the cup.
Beautiful. Great job, Ari. And is the person... Are you celebrating Havdalah in that picture?
No.
Yeah, the prayer for the wine.
No, I'm just looking at the tree that I planted a long time ago in the picture.
Wonderful. Great job, Ari. That's really wonderful. Great. That's great. Okay, so Aaron, what did you make?
I made a spice box.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's awesome. Can you open it up? Ooh, and there's spices. What are the spices in there?
There's cinnamon,
star anise, and cloves.
Here, let them smell it.
That's adorable. That's so great. And you can use that to buy spots when you do have Havdalah. That's such a good idea. That's so creative. Good job.
And we don't have one, so I made it.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Okay. Alexandra, what did you make?
I made a bonfire.
Oh, what? I didn't hear what you said.
A bonfire.
Oh, cool. For the blessing over the fire.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. What did you make it out of?
I cut skewers so they're like down. I think it's 6 inches. And cut it to. And then I used a piece of plastic on the bottom, and there was holes in it. Then I used rubber bands on the bottom to keep it together, and I used yarn to make like the coloring.
That's so creative. It would not have occurred to me to make it that way. That's wonderful, Alexandra. Good job. And Noah, what did you make for the final blessing?
I made a sway.
A what?
A sway.
Oh, cool. Can we see it?
Yeah. Okay. So this the part that I did for Havdalah is the distinctions prayer. So I made some distinctions between different things in the world, like day and night, working and resting, or full and empty, school and home, and sleep and wake.
Wow, that's so cool. And so do you associate these distinctions with Shabbat and with the rest of the week?
Yeah, and just some everyday things.
That's so cool. That's awesome. That's so creative. I love how each of your projects is very different and wonderful. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Beth Shalom and student rabbi and children. And for the conclusion of the program, we are going to go to Lawrence Zimmerman of Hanover Hebrew Congregation in Hanover, Pennsylvania.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lawrence Zimmerman from the Hanover Hebrew Congregation, and this concludes our Shavuot service. I'd like to wish a Yashar Kolach to our presenters and a Mazel Tov to all the congregations that participated today. That includes Bloomsburg, Carlisle, Chambersburg, Gettysburg, Hanover, Huntington, Mechanicsburg, Sunbury, and the 2 in Williamsport. This is truly a community building experience. If you're interested in attending the learning session, Tikkun Liel, Shavuos this evening, and Shavuot services, the information is in the chat. Also, if you have any suggestions for future collaboration programs among the small congregations of Central Pennsylvania, please put them in the chat. We want to enhance the Jewish experience for everyone in our region. Thank you to Paulette Kiefer and Rebecca Robinson and the Jewish Community Foundation of Central Pennsylvania, and to Noah Levine and the Jewish Community Legacy Project for organizing this program and for their ongoing work with the committee. Finally, the Zoom will stay open for a little longer if you'd like to chat and have an opportunity to socialize. Wishing you all a Chag Sameach, happy Shavuos, and a safe and enjoyable summer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Barry Feinstein of Littlestown.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
And thank you, Noah and Rebecca.
Chag Sameach to everybody from Williamsport.
Chag Sameach.
Beautiful.
Chag Sameach. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, Chag Sameach. This was fun.
Thanks to all the children.
Yes. Yes, they did an excellent job.
Chag Sameach.
Thank you, everybody. Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach from Hazelton.
Chag Sameach, everyone.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Chag Sameach.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Chag Sameach to all from Chambers.